Hello and welcome to Traffic Talks. My name is Pyro and I talk about what's going on in my life, usually with a lesson I've learned, some tips and tricks you can follow that help me, and a lot of laughs in each episode. If this sounds like something you would enjoy hearing, feel free to follow the podcast, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and to see what I'm up to, you can check out my Instagram page linked below.
Good morning and welcome back to the podcast. This is part 2 of September Sustainability, and if you haven't listened to the first episode that aired last week, go ahead and do so. It gives a basic intro to what this month is, and this episode today is part 2, which is going to focus on the good things around sustainability and the things I personally love. If you're looking forward to it like I have been, enjoy. If not, that's cool. Come back next month. No hard feelings. This is actually the second time I am recording this episode. The first time went a bit haywire and it was a bit long. Aside from the technical difficulties I had, as well as the fact that my information was way too much, so I had to actually cut down the script, then recorded it, and now cut down even more and re-record. So hopefully this will be much shorter than the original ones and also just come across better. So fingers crossed. Anyway, excuse the long intro, but yeah, on to the actual episode. The definition of sustainability is a societal goal that broadly aims for humans to safely coexist on planet Earth over a long time. That stunned me because in my research, not only is sustainability as a whole something that aims for everyone to coexist on this planet, but there are actually 4 pillars of sustainability, which was something I didn't actually realize or even think about in that context. For this month's episodes, we are basically just focusing on the resource pillar. So there are 4 pillars, as I mentioned. It is the economic pillar, the humanitarian pillar or humanity pillar, the third one being societal pillar of sustainability, and then last but not least, the environmental one. Like I said, that is the one we are focusing on because for the other 3, they are either very broad or very narrow, and that is not something everyone can do. For example, the economic pillar. Not everyone can change the economy for the entire world, and a lot of times they can change it for themselves by changing their financial situation. That is either going to affect everyone or just affect themselves, which is why I say it's either too broad or too narrow, and I'm not going to get into that. Environmental is something I feel everyone can work on that pillar for themselves or for everyone else. I apologize, you're going to hear that word a lot, the pillar, and I feel I pronounce it funny. So just let me know what your opinion is. But yeah, that is what we're focusing on today, and specifically the good around it. There are a lot of people who try to save the earth, and this can get extreme. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen the videos, but I'm not touching on those today. That will be maybe next week's episode. The positive that people try and do to change the earth and to work on it is admirable. There are people who go to the edge when it comes to trying to save the earth, and that is understandable because resources are limited. We may think we are only going to be here for a short time, but there are other people that aren't. There are other people who are going to outlive us and move on to the next generation who will outlive them. There is not enough resources, and people don't realize that. I know from a young age I was taught, use water sparingly, be careful. And as I grew up, we were in the early 2010s and Cape Town was hit with a drought. You were on shortages. You had to buy water. You had to use it so sparingly. You had to count every drop. And that is just a reminder of it's limited. It's not always going to be there. And the moment you go without it, you realize, oh, good Lord, this is insanity. We have been taught to use electricity sparingly. You pay per unit for those things. If you are in a newer home or an upgraded place, you pay for units for your house. It is crazy, and those units fly. I mean, it's ridiculous. And we've recently started load shedding, which once again reminds you there's a grid, there's someone else in control, and you can't change that. You can only change what you do. Are you gonna buy solar panels? Are you gonna find rechargeable things? Are you, I don't know, going to just not use as much electricity? There are options like gas for cooking, so you don't use electricity. There are installing of sunroofs and glass, so you have more natural light, therefore you don't need artificial light. You can do solar panels, you can do all sorts of things, but they are still limited options, and they tend to be very, very expensive. And then also food. You've always heard things of the starving children in Africa. I grew up where you eat everything on your plate, no excuses. And that's just the kind of world we live in, where waste was not an option. And even if there was, you will eat your food, or you get hiding or whatever. And that's just the way we grew up. These days, it's not like that. There's more choice, there's more options, there's more freedom to a certain extent when it comes to foods. And also you can buy them in better quantities. If you want a lot, you can buy a lot. If you want a little, you can buy a little. It's not as dire as it used to be. These 3 resources are the ones that I think everyone can focus on. With water, like I said, take shorter showers. I mean, everyone got used to taking really short showers when it came to the drought that we had. So some habits still stick with you. As a child, you're taught close the tap when you brush your teeth so that you don't waste water. We found ways to use water, like grey water, after a shower, stand in a bucket in the shower, those kinds of things. Use that for the plants, use it as grey water to flush your toilet, do all sorts of things. Those are the things we can all contribute. I know that my mom used to carry buckets of water outside to wet the garden from the washing machine. She would unhook the plug where the water runs out, and she would throw that on the grass in the front. It's not food that we would eat, it's just wetting the grass out front, and it never damaged it. But it's a way of reusing the water that we have. For electricity, funny enough, this just came up the other day. My brother left his room light on, and I switched it off because I went to go talk to him and he was not there. So I switched it off and I walked away. And eventually, about an hour later, I came through and he's like, "Why'd you switch my light off?" And I'm like, electricity is expensive and we occasionally have load shedding. Don't be that guy. And the very next day, boom, we started load shedding. So I was just like, you see, makes a difference. Not that I blame him for load shedding, but the point is, be aware of what you use. And it's expensive. Like, this is really, really the crux of it. To have electricity is expensive and we need it every day. I work with electricity because my computer runs on it. And it's an old box kind of a computer. Not old, but like it's the old style. It's not a laptop. So you can't work even while it's off. It's a whole thing. Point being, I need electricity constantly to work. He works on a laptop, so he's fine for that 2 hours, but still, you still need it when it comes back on. We need Wi-Fi, all those things. Be aware of your consumption. And one of the best things that I found is food has been one of the best things that you can do in a sustainable and eco-friendly way. A lot of people choose to go vegan because of the sustainability, eco-friendly and environmental reasons, as well as the dietary benefits. I am not a vegan. I do talk about almond milk. I tried whipping coconut cream to get like whipped coconut cream for desserts and stuff. Worked brilliantly. I've tried different vegan meals, desserts, alternatives, and I've loved them just because I like the flavor, nothing else. But that's just my personal preference. I'm not a vegan, I can't speak for them, but I do know there's a lot of sustainable benefits and habits to it, and I think that's very admirable because vegans don't eat anything that is an actual animal or a byproduct of that animal. So they won't eat meat, chicken, fish, drink milk, nothing like that. They also won't have beef gelatin in certain sweets. That is something that's commonly used, so they won't have those sweets. Things like beeswax in lip balms, they won't use them. Even leather couches and things, that is a big no-no. And that is just their choice and their lifestyle. And I think that's really cool. And there is a subsection of vegans who are plant-based, which is they just follow a vegan diet and not necessarily a vegan lifestyle, and therefore they define themselves as people who follow a plant-based diet, not calling themselves vegans. And those people occasionally will use products that aren't technically vegan, like leather, even if they do buy it secondhand, or products that aren't completely vegan or vegetarian and maybe have some sort of animal byproduct. And that is fine. That is a lifestyle choice. That is absolutely okay. That can get extreme. Like I said, I'll touch on that next week. But the fact that you are literally trying to live your life in an eco-friendly and sustainable way is admirable. And my personal thing is, as long as you're trying, you're getting there. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to get it 100%. And that is okay. Not the end of the world. My point, to come back to it, was the food sustainability. And a lot of stores have come to the party in trying to encourage people to garden at home. And you could get these little pods that you could then try and grow on your windowsill and make something actually grow from it. You could grow basil, tomatoes, lettuce, rocket, different types of herbs and ingredients, and that to me was incredible. McDonald's did it at one point, and then Checkers I think did it 2 different times, which was insane because these huge conglomerates are encouraging sustainability, which is something people don't see. A lot of places tend to encourage just consumerism and being on trend and buying things very quickly, consuming them, using them, getting rid of them, and not thinking of the sustainability factor. So for me, that was incredible. I do love gardening, so having a place that actually encourages that and grows that type of hunger for more was really awesome. Everything they used around those were biodegradable, compostable, and very easy to use. So they actually kind of showed you can go out and do it on your own, even if these fail, or even if you try and you don't succeed. It's doable. It's something you can try. It's something you can get right. And this is something I actually resonate with a lot, because I've got pictures of myself and my brother at age, I think 7, holding huge cabbages that we grew ourselves. We grew carrots, we grew spinach, all sorts of things. We had like a little garden in our backyard, and that is something you don't appreciate until later in life. But it's very, very eye-opening to see how we've done things. And being able to grow your own stuff is going to be incredibly important, I feel, going forward, especially with the way the world is changing and evolving and growing. We are in a very weird time post-COVID, so having these options are always a good idea, especially for people who live on their own or people who don't have a lot of yard space. You do get mini indoor gardens, tabletop gardens, and also I think they call it balcony gardens, where it's literally a small rectangle that you can literally attach to your balcony or just place outside, very inobtrusive, and you can grow a whole bunch of things there. There's also a lot of hacks that you can find on different YouTube channels where you are able to see how to easily, quickly, and safely grow different items, even from leftovers of stuff you already have. For example, spring onions, tomatoes, even strawberries. Like, it is insane how easy it is to do these things. And I won't lie, I've actually tried some of my own and they are working out quite well. So it's something I think we can all do. So that was my rant on the good things about sustainability. I do truly think we can all make small changes, whether it's being aware of how we use water and being able to save a little bit here and there, making sure to switch off lights when we leave a room, being aware of how we consume different things, and also being aware of where we source our food from. I know a lot of places and people also don't care about where they get their ingredients as long as it's the cheapest thing possible, but sometimes it does benefit you to go the extra mile and find out where your food is sourced from, because if you grow it yourself, you know exactly what happened to your food, whereas if you just get it from a store and you don't know where they get their food from, it could have a lot of GMOs, it could have a lot of pesticides, it could be infested with insecticides, and that is the last thing you need in your life. Try and find out where your things come from and just be a bit more aware so that going forward we can take care of the earth and ourselves. I know for a fact lemons can sometimes get expensive, and we have an actual tree. Almonds I love, we have a tree. Figs are gorgeous, we have a tree. So we've been growing our own things, we know exactly where they come from, and it's incredible to actually taste the difference. And that is something I never get over, because I always wonder, like, how do other people not know how it's supposed to taste? But that's just me. Anyway, that was enough of my nonsense. I hope this was much better and that you could follow along, that it actually made sense and that you enjoyed listening to it. The song of the week is What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong, because it truly is a wonderful world. I hope you have a good day, that you keep being a better being, and that you try and take care of the world around you. That's it from me. Love you. Bye.